What a build-up. Thanks for that, Doug and Lana. Appreciate it with Never Ends Production. Good evening, everyone. Welcome from all parts of the country. On behalf of Amanda Ross, Paul Tamburino, and Roger Morton, we'd like to welcome you to webinar number 4, to handball or not to handball? That is a question. Any other opening remarks from the panel, or should we just get right down to it?
Get right back to it.
Perfect. Well, Doug, let's go ahead and jump right in, bring the presentation up. And while Doug's doing that, I just want to give a few logistical details. First of all, we will post a survey link at the end. Adriana is not able to make this meeting, and we missed our opportunity last meeting. So apologies to those who are needing that to get attendance. We will post it towards the end of the meeting, and I have a slide in there specifically for that. So that's the first thing. And second, as we look at the title screen, to handball or not to handball, that is a question. I want to thank the NCAA, Pro, and CONCACAF for helping collaborate. They gave me some of the one-liners, the guidance, etc. I pulled a few pictures from the Pro presentation. The NCAA helped clarify things over the weekend, so special thanks to them for use of that. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the agenda. So the agenda, we're going to start with why are we talking about handball? Why are we going to spend the next hour to hour and a half talking about handball, and what's a little background there? We'll look at the NCAA guidance for 2021-2022, and this information is literally less than about 72 hours old. And it's brand new guidance. Ryan Sigich and Rich Grady have been working to give us a path forward, and they've done that, and more to come on that. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about handball offenses, of course, and handball non-offenses. We also want to focus on how to recognize what isn't a handball. We have clips, 13 clips in total with polls afterwards, and then we'll review as well. So that's it for the agenda today. So why handball? Let's talk about that a little bit first of all. Next bullet point. The frequency of calls. If we kind of look at our previous topics, which are all very important and probably a little more game critical than a typical run-of-the-mill handball, but let's see how often some of these other game situations occur. Start with the first bullet point. So video review. In an NCAA, it's incredibly rare. I didn't have the exact data. Don't know if Roger has it maybe, but I would estimate maybe once out of every 50 games played in NCAA, NAIA, the referee goes to video review. A little more often for MLS, 1 out of every 3 games, but either way, it's definitely rare. Red card, I don't have the NCAA data, but based on MLS and NWSL, 1 out of every 10 games. So we're going to go 10 games on average in between giving red cards. Next. And with those, we got a DOGSO once every 30 games or so. And then, of course, we had the VB1, VB2, and fighting presentation. That's probably about once every 30 games, maybe even more rare than that, once every 40 games. And penalty kicks. Based on our 2 professional leagues, we have a penalty kick once every 5 games. And finally, we have the yellow card in there, which averages about 3 to 3.2 yellow cards per game. So all these pretty rare, but handball, I checked a couple games. This is very unscientific. I don't know if this is true of a population of 200, but out of the 5 or 6 games I watched, the ball will strike the arm 5 to 6 times per game. That's more than all of these other bullet points combined, and yet we don't seem to take the necessary time to talk about handball, and it happens so much more frequently than some of these other situations. Now, of course, handball can lead to red cards, penalty kicks, and yellow cards. Different story, but I think you get the overall picture. We have a lot of handball decisions to make, and it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to have a handball decision to make in your next game. So let's keep going with why handball. Why don't we talk about handball more often? I think that's why we're talking about it today. And why is it so difficult? That's really the key point. Why is it so difficult on the field to interpret? It's difficult. We have yearly changes in interpretation. I think especially the past 3 years have really had some huge changes in interpretation. So it's changing, and we have to stay updated. And maybe the players and coaches aren't as updated. There's a high amount of subjectivity leading to inconsistency. One referee's view may be different. You go to one place or another, it may be different. And that leads to no one knows what a handball is. I've heard this quote from some of us on the panel. I've heard this quote from coaches. Commentators, we hear this quite a bit. I think that's where I hear it most often is the handball, that nobody knows what a handball is anymore. Next. IFAB actually has in their guidance for 2021-2022, whatever the wording we tell you, there will always be inconsistency, and its assessment is subjective. So even IFAB's telling you, okay, we're going to give you some guidance, but we're still leaving it up to you. It's still the old classic, as a law book says, in the opinion of the referee. So even IFAB is not black and white when it comes to handball. And called differently on different parts of the field. I think we'd all agree that the attacking third handballs are going to be called differently than the defensive third handballs. And it's not a sexy topic to talk about. If we go to the next bullet point, Doug, if we talk about this in a class discussion or in your local ECSR or local chapter clinics, you can show a clip and everybody raises a yellow card or a red card. It's a lot of fun. You see a lot of yellow across, you see a lot of red across, etc. You can even say the same for the next bullet point, which is for offside decisions. You can talk a lot about this. Why are they offside? Raise the flag, put your hand up, all kinds of things. We can really get into depth on offside. And the final point, even today's title is based on a quote by Shakespeare, to handball or not to handball. I mean, we had some great quotes in the past. The color of red, refereeing in the modern game, being tech savvy. And I get a Shakespeare quote that's like 300 years old. So with that being said, let's go to the next slide. Maybe I'll pause there. Amanda, Roger, Paul, anything about kind of the past history of handball you want to speak up on, or should I keep going? All right. I'm seeing thumbs up, so I'll keep on rolling. So what are our goals today? The four of us would like to convey this, that there are no experts today. Tambo, Roger, Amanda, none of us are going to say we are the handball expert in the United States or for NISO or for ECSR, but we just want to get greater consistency so that from game to game, from referee to referee, we're all speaking the same language. That's the goal of the day. Let's move away from is it a handball, yes or no, but instead let's talk to why or why not it's a handball. Lance and I had a very heated, I shouldn't say heated, a passionate discussion about, for those who may have seen the Qatar El Salvador Gold Cup game. And I said there was a situation, I can't believe the referee called a handball on that. But when we went through the considerations and we looked at the why and why not, Lance was absolutely right. It's 100% handball, the handball and penalty kick, and the referee got it correct once we looked at the considerations. So let's really focus more on the why or why not. And let's make handball sexy again. Let's make it a fun topic to talk about. And with that, I have a few proposed changes for this presentation. Making handball sexy again, a love story. Or we can go with the greatest romance language, handball and how to speak it. Or we can go retro 90s and go, I like handball and I cannot lie. Dial 1-900-HANDBALL and kick them nasty thoughts. Whatever you preference, you can pick any one of those, but let's look to make handball sexy once again. So with that, let's look at so I'll pause there. Amanda, Roger, Tambo, anything to add before we go into the guidance from the NCAA?
No, all sounds good to me, Corey.
All right, sounds good. And Joe Ellen really likes the title, so thank you for that, Joe Ellen. Okay, so we have great news from the NCAA. And like I said, this information is only about 72 hours old, but we being NCAA, ECSR, and ISOA, will mirror the 2021-2022 IFAB guidance, which is great news. And why is this great news? Because first of all, just a heads up, there won't be any wording changes in the NCAA rulebook. This is a non-year change, and as you know, the NCAA rulebook is only updated every 2 years, so the wording in the rulebook will not change, just to be clear. But what will change is the guidance, and NISOA and ECSR are going to work to assist in spreading the word on interpreting handball. And by the way, apologies to ECSR. I just noticed I got my 2 letters backwards there. So apologies to y'all, to those out there for that. And finally, we could expect future supplemental guidance and or NCAA memorandum. So while the wording of the rule book and the rule book may not change, I talked to Rich Grady and to Ryan Sigich, and they're both going to look to put out supplemental guidance, memorandums, etc., to help spread this a little further and to help cascade the information down to everyone, which of course we will help with as well. And in my opinion, I think ECSR would agree. As referees and assistant referees, we will not have to change subjectivity to league. So you don't have to put on one handball hat for federation or in one handball hat for high school, and then you have to have another handball hat on for NCAA. Okay, this is really we're aligning with IFAB, which is great news, and you don't have to flip a switch and think about different guidance from game to game. So let's talk about handball offenses. And first, we're going to start with deliberate touch secondary movement. Let's actually go to the next. So let's talk about that one first. Example of deliberate touch is moving the hand towards the ball or secondary movement. So these are kind of the words that IFAB uses, and I got from the recent Gold Cup presentation that kind of go along with what the NCAA wants to put as far as the guidance for 2021. So there's a deliberate touch. There's a naturally bigger, including a barrier over the shoulder. We talk about outside the silhouette of the body and making it unnaturally bigger for a defensive posture, as an example. And finally, an immediate goal scored in the opponent's goal. I had to clarify that. Own goal, sorry, you might be out of luck if there's a handball there. But if we're looking to score a goal and there's an immediate handball, then we would call that a handball offense. Now let's look at some illustrations for each one. First, let's look at deliberate touch, secondary movement. And we'll play the video, Doug. And just so folks know, there is no audio for any of these clips, so you don't have to adjust your speakers. And I think we're going to get a replay on this. You'll be able to see it again. And you see the hand comes up to get it. So let's go to the next slide. So you'll see these kind of still frames I put in to illustrate some of these. So this is the deliberate touch offense. So note the defender's arm in the top picture from the point of the shot. This is at the point the attacker is taking the shot in the top picture. Then the bottom picture, you have a clear second movement. So she goes from the from the attacker's left all the way to the right, moves toward it, sticks her hand up. It's a clear second movement of the arm towards the ball. And one more note, which we'll talk about a little later in the clips, for a shot on goal. That's a clear shot on goal, and there's a handball offense. A yellow card would be expected here. I don't remember if the referee gave one or not on this. I'll have to check my records on this. But given I was the referee, I think I forgot the yellow card here. So that would be expected in a shot on goal like this. So that is deliberate touch / secondary motion. Let's look at the next one, unnaturally bigger. This, I think, is best illustrated with a still frame, but this is, look at the position of the arm when it's struck. So it's not necessarily a second movement, but right when the ball is struck, you see this defender in a clearly unnatural position. It's not a second movement, but the arm is not in a natural defending position. Even for those that maybe have never played soccer before, I think we would agree this is not a natural position for a defender.
Hey, Corey, can I jump in just a second?
Yeah, please.
I just want to mention, because there may be a discussion amongst the people on the panel, or this, you can see in this particular case the player is not looking at the ball, so that's irrelevant. So his arm doesn't belong up there. I think that's what that whole deal is. So whether he's looking at the ball or not looking at the ball, this is still a handball decision, and that's going to be the argument from coaches and players and whoever. So I think that's important to mention.
Yeah, excellent point. Roger, Amanda, anything to add?
What I would say to that is, building off of what Paul was saying, we hear a lot about this idea of he chose taking a risk. So by putting his arm up that high in that unnatural position, yes, the ball came from behind him, but he took a risk by having his arm up there like he did. So we're not giving him a free pass just because he wasn't looking at the ball, like Paul said.
So that's it for the offenses. Any questions or any comments? I'll just kind of look, and I don't see any. So let's go with what's not a handball offense. Let's cover this off. A normal playing position for the action. This is, and by the way, we'll see some pictures and examples of this, but the normal, what is expected for a defender or attacker for their action. Contact due to deliberate play. Now, keyword deliberate play versus the deflection of the rebound by the player, his or herself, or a teammate. So interesting there. And keyword is deliberate play. No, IFAB took out the deflection / rebound. So we're going to come back and see some examples there. And the support arm on the ground. I think this is in last year's interpretation, but we want to emphasize once again that the support arm on the ground when the defender is sliding in would not be considered a handball there. So let's look at some examples here. So here's an illustration, Kelly O'Hara, no handball, natural position. That ball is headed right for her arm. But is this an expected defender stance for someone guarding someone just inside the penalty area? Okay. The arm tucked right by her body, very close, not unnaturally bigger. Now, the key thing that referees and assistant referees have to watch out for is that ball may strike it with such force that her arm flails up afterwards. So we can't be fooled by the flail. We have to be very careful. What is that position? What is that position when it strikes the arm? In this case, it's by the body. It's a natural position. Just be aware that sometimes the arm will flail up and it may look worse than it is. So heads up on that.
Corey.
Yes, Tambo.
You have a question in the clip with Bale that happens outside of the penalty box.
Yeah, good question. So if it does happen outside the penalty box, because it's still an immediate shot, we would still consider that immediate. Now, if he or she would pass it 2 more times, different story. We would not consider that immediate, whether it's inside or outside the box. We will talk a little more about refereeing 101 towards the end of this, where we maybe think about, okay, what's the least amount of risk to do as a referee? We'll put it that way. Good. Thank you for that question. Here's an example of a deliberate play by the player. So this is one where a cross comes in and the attacker, you see the ball right by his knee there. He's attempting to clear it with his leg, but it comes straight up to his outstretched arm. Okay. Now, the NCAA rules and the IFAB would also mirror this. It'd say any ball directly from the player's own head or body, including the foot that hits the arm, would not be considered a handball. So key there. So this was actually the same, and the NCAA rule books, like I said, has this directly in there. So no real change from this standpoint.
Corey, just real quick, going back to the immediate touch, because we're getting some questions on that. Chris McCorkle is asking, and I think we're going to talk about this at the end with regards to practical refereeing. Is the immediate just the next touch, or is it limited to 2 to 3 touches after it touches the hand? And do you agree that we're just going to wait until the end to answer that?
Yeah, let's wait till the end. But I can say it is immediate. It's literally hits the arm, comes down, and it's a shot, and it's that immediate. And the reasons I won't get into, because it's a lot of VAR where it was barely brushing the shoulder. You needed a microscope to see it brush the shoulder, and they were saying, hey, it's no good. I could go into a list of details, but just note it's immediate, and we're going to come back to practical refereeing toward the end. Okay. No handball, deliberate play from a teammate. Now, this player, number 20, is probably going, hey, you got time, relax, or, clear to the wide. He is not expecting for this player to clear the ball right into his outstretched arms, okay? So the player ends up doing this, actually, and it strikes him directly in the arm. And in this case, this would not be a handball. It is directly from the head or body, including the foot of a teammate who is close. That's the IFAB interpretation. Is it a natural position? No, we would say it's not natural. But on the other hand, he's not doing it in an attempt to defend. It's there. Maybe he's communicating something else. But in this case, If it comes from the teammate directly from the head or body of a teammate who is close, including the foot, it would not be considered a handball. I do want to clarify one thing when it comes to the NCAA rules right here. Currently, the verbiage in the NCAA rulebook does not say this. It says directly from the head or body, including the foot of any player. Big difference there. IFAB 2021-2022 is saying from a teammate. Okay. Now we know the rule book will not be changed, but like I said, this news is only 72 hours old, and Mr. Grady and Mr. Sigich are going to work out a plan to cascade that information to make this update so that we're all talking from the same page here. But just know that we're going to go with the IFAB from this standpoint where we're looking at a teammate's contact. So just want to get that out of the way. If someone looks in the rule book and says, hey, this doesn't say teammate, it says any player in my rule book. Okay, we got to just know that a change is coming. It's just so new. We haven't had a chance to really roll that out properly yet. Questions? So I need to stop. I'm seeing some questions in the chat. I don't know if we need to stop now. All right, we will keep on going, Amanda.
So here's one, Corey, for you to answer and clarify, because we had shown that clip, that situation before where the arm was outstretched above the player's head. If the arm was stretched above his head and the ball then from a teammate hits his hand, handball, no handball, what's the decision there?
Yeah, so if this was deliberately played by a teammate, keyword is teammate, and deliberate play, not just a deflection, person goes to head it and he maybe says, clear it downfield, and it hits his arm, do the deliberate play of the teammate, it would not be a handball.
Okay, but in the same situation, if it's not a deliberate play on the ball but deflects off of a teammate and then hits the hand, then we can go back to handling it.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
So hopefully that answers your question, Jack Klaus.
Good question. All very new, and that's why we're talking about it, so thank you for those questions. And finally, let's talk about no handball support arms. So I have two examples here, and I think I'd like to use a clock for this. I wish I would have put it in the presentation. I didn't think about it till I was going over the presentation today and thinking about it. If you look at the top, that would not be considered a handball. The slide is coming in and the trail arm is clearly being used to support. It's between the body and the ground. If you were to think of his arm as an hour hand, I'd say it's somewhere around 5:30, maybe 5 o'clock, but it's pretty darn close to 6 o'clock. So it's coming down to the ground for sure. I'm trying to view myself on the screen there. Okay, probably 5:30 or so. But let's look at the bottom photo in contrast. Oh, let me go back to the top photo. Obviously, if the ball hits his arm up here, that's at like 11 o'clock, handball. I think no surprise there. We're talking about the support arm that's down near 6 o'clock. Okay. Now let's look at the bottom handball, which would be considered the bottom picture, which would be considered a handball. Both arms are unnatural. Neither are supporting. You're seeing one arm at like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and the other arm at 9 o'clock. Nothing is supporting him other than his backside on the ground. He's clearly not using the arm to support. And the verbiage IFAB uses is extended laterally or vertically away from the body, unnaturally bigger. In this case, this would be a handball because the defender sliding is not using his arm or her arm as a support. Okay. Good.
So, Corey, also something we're getting several questions about now in the chat from Jonathan Pund and Jim Rasher. I apologize for butchering your names, which is probably what just happened. So the second part, we talked about the caution if it's a shot on goal. But there's also in the rules, if an attacker deliberately handles the ball and it leads to a goal scoring opportunity. So that's something else that's changing, correct, with regards to these new interpretations. Maybe even if the actual text isn't. If it's an unintentional handball that then causes the ball to go to the player's feet, he scores. We don't want a caution there. We're just talking about the batting the ball down type of thing, correct? Right, Corey?
Exactly. I think we'll see that illustrated a little more in the clips. If we didn't illustrate it well enough, then we'll come back to that question.
Corey, hold on. There's another question here from Lawrence, somebody. Basically, the question is, are we looking at the NCAA rules mirroring the 2021 IFAB or the 21-22 IFAB?
Yes, 2021, 2022. I asked the NCAA of that specifically, and they did say 2021, 2022. And this presentation reflects the language from that.
Okay, and there's another one from John Buda. John, I apologize. I'm not sure what clip you're talking about here. If the ball were to go into the goal after hitting a teammate and the arm in this example, what's the ruling? So I don't know what clip he's talking about, actually.
Yeah, teammate in the arm. I'll try to think of the clips we've done. Maybe that was the immediate goal. So because it's immediate in the opponent's goal, they're very clear to say that immediate in the opponent's goal, that would still count as an own goal.
You may come back with a clarification, but that's what we got right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank y'all. Roger, you're quiet. We doing okay so far, Roger?
Yes, keep going.
All right. All right. Roger told me he read 20 of those books this week, by the way. Congratulations, Roger.
All of them on handball. I'm still trying to figure out which one to read.
Very good. All right, so let's do some clips now. I think we can illustrate some of these and choices with considerations. Why or why not? All right, so let's look at the considerations we talked about. Doug, you can scroll through these 7 right here. I can talk about them all. We have handball deliberate touch, handball unnaturally bigger, handball immediate goal. Then we have the reasons for no handball: natural position, deliberate play by self, deliberate play by a teammate, or no handball due to support arm. So these are gonna be all your poll answers. You have to pick the best one for each clip as we go through these. All right.
Corey,
yeah.
Let me. John came back with clarification. The clip where the 2 players in red, a deliberate kick from a teammate, arm raised above the head. So I think the key word here is deliberate. If it's deliberately kicked,
Exactly. No handball. Exactly. Yep. You got it.
Okay. All right, John.
Good.
And also, Corey, another question with regard to the support arm. What happens if the ball comes off the bottom support arm, which is in a natural position, but then goes up to the top arm that maybe is up high, maybe is a little bit more problematic?
Oh, interesting. Let's come to the consideration. So we have one that's unnaturally bigger and one that's a support arm, right? And I'm hearing deflection. Therefore, since it's not a deliberate play, if it deflects up there, I would have handball.
I agree, Corey.
All right. So see how we did that with the considerations? Y'all like that? So this is what we want everybody thinking about as we go through. I didn't know the answer to it. I didn't know, but as I talk through it, that seems to be the most logical answer if Roger and Tambo agree as well.
Well,
Yeah,
look, the only thing I'm going to say is that Amanda and Corey are going to be on call, Roger, for every call that we get.
The key to all of this in terms of some of these other things is it deliberate deflection? So it's not just for ARs, it's not just for offside anymore now, right, Corey? It's for handball too now.
Exactly. So while we have Roger challenged me, he said, hey, let's, this is special, this summer webinar series. Let's get some very recent clips to put in here. So Roger and the rest of the gang, I tried my best to pull some NCAA clips. So we got 3 or 4 of those in here. Like literally, these have never been in any other webinar because the games just happened a few months ago. So good news, you're seeing some clips that no one else has seen. So let's start with clip 1. We're going to watch it in regular motion, and then we're going to see a slow motion, and then Doug and Lana are going to put up the poll for everyone. So let's play it through. And we'll do one more time slow motion. There you go. All right, there are your clips. You got two very good views of it. Let's have a vote. All right. We have 250 of you voted. I know there's a lot more out there. Let's get those votes in. All right, still tabulating. We'll close it in 3, 2, 1, and let's close it. 59% of you, no handball natural position. We also have deliberate play self, and we have unnaturally bigger. also on there. So very good with that. Doug, I don't know if I'll be able to keep those results on up or not. Let me see if I can drag it to the other screen here. But let's talk about why each of those would be valid or not valid. So let's go to the next slide, Doug, if we could, after the videos. There we go. Okay, so the answer, no handball, natural position. Why do we choose that? It's natural position for this action as he attempts to clear the ball. I don't see anything unusual about his hand here as he is attempting to clear the ball upfield. Okay, so natural position of the hand. And there's no deliberate movement towards the ball. The ball rebounds, deflects off the attacker into his arm, so it's not like he's reaching up to grab it or anything like that. So therefore, I would not put unnaturally bigger because it's part of the normal kicking motion. For those that said no handball, deliberate play self, this is if it's directly played from the part of the body to the arm, so it would not deflect off anybody else in the meantime. So that's why we would have natural position here. And I just put the last note. You're going to see I put some abbreviations up there. No handball NP for natural position. I think in order for handball to be cool, we have to have some abbreviations, just like offside and dogso and spa and UB1A and all that good stuff. So no handball NP is no handball natural position. So any thoughts from the group on anything I said about the options that would not have been the correct answer? All right, explained well. Okay, so we got 59% got it right. So pretty good start, I would say. Pretty good start. So let's see if we can go to clip number 2. And Doug, this one will have a replay, so we can let it play out. All right, let's put up the poll. Choices with considerations. Why or why not? We'll do the Roger. I can't top Roger singing and humming. So
I was just about to request that, Corey.
Okay, we're watching the votes come in. Oh, this one's going to have some discussion, I think. Tambo, Amanda, Roger, be ready. All right, we have the correct answer, no handball, natural position. 41% answered that. We also had a couple saying handball due to unnaturally bigger and handball deliberate touch. So let's let's watch it one more time in live action, and then Doug, we can go to the still frame that I have. And actually, Doug, this answer, I just noticed one thing. Sorry to confuse everyone. As I was saying the poll result, I realized I didn't get it right. The answer is actually handball deliberate touch. So sorry about that. Sorry, I confused on that. So why is it deliberate touch? It's handball for the deliberate touch / secondary movement. So this one may have confused some of you if you saw it on live play. The hand closest to the goal comes up to strike the ball. So if you look at the top, the top picture, you see her position as the ball is struck. Her arm closest to the goal is by her side. As it's struck, that's actually the back arm closest to the goal coming up. Her front arm remains tucked, actually, and pretty good. Her second arm comes out. Got to do it on camera here. Comes out and reaches it. I guess it'd be like this from behind. Reaches and blocks it down. So therefore, it's a secondary movement and a deliberate touch. So I think some may have been thrown off by natural position, thinking it maybe only hit her shoulder in the front. But if you see the still frame at the bottom, it does hit her hand that's closest to the goal. So this is a tough one, I think, due to the camera angle and maybe not close. But that's why this would be handball deliberate touch.
Corey, can we show that video again just to re-emphasize the points?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that was a tough one, Amanda. Thank you. Doug's working his magic there. Yeah, so Very hard to see. You see her hand right there. It's down. Now it comes up after the shot is taken and blocks it. And you see there's a cue there. It hits and the ball changes trajectory. So we know it does hit something back there. So tough one to call in live action. Credit to the referee for making the call on this one and seeing that live. Or it might have been the assistant referee. We don't have that person in view. So, but kudos to the referee team here.
Corey, 1 second. Doug, can we go back to the survey? And just I want you to clarify something there for us, Corey.
Yeah, no problem.
I see at the very bottom, 2% said support arm. Can you clarify the support arm, please? Does it need to be at the ground?
Yeah, exactly. So the support arm does not have to be on the ground. It can be. It's still in the air as the defender comes to the ground. So yeah. So the support arm does not necessarily need to be touching grass. So good question. Okay. And apologies. So just to be clear on this one, if we go to the summary slide, Doug. This is handball for deliberate touch. Now, Amanda brought this up earlier, but do we have an additional sanction here? And let's hit it one more time, Doug. Yes, we would also have a yellow card because the result is from a shot on goal. Not red card. It's not dog show handling because we still have a keeper back there. Okay, so it's not like a wide open goal. And if the defender, the only way the defender is going to stop the goal is if she sticks her arm up. So it's not red card dog show. It would be a yellow card for the shot on goal.
So Corey, Adam's asking, how is this also not unnaturally bigger? Why wouldn't that also be an acceptable answer?
Yeah, good question. I think we'll have some more clips that illustrate that. But if you think of unnaturally bigger, they're starting with their hands out crazy, unnaturally bigger before that shot is even taken. That's the key difference. So before the shot or before the pass is taken, they're already sliding like this, or they're already, hands in the air. The key with deliberate touch is it's a secondary movement. So this situation, the ball is struck. She then turns.
Backer.
Yes, thank you. Turns and sticks her hand out. And that's why it would not be unnaturally bigger. It's the secondary movement. Good questions. Any other questions before we go to clip 3? Okay, let's go to clip 3. We will have some zoom in here. You see it's a little far away here, but we'll get some closer angles. Third minute of the game. Credit to the referee for being ready. We never know when these handball and PK situations may take place. So we have one angle here. You can kind of see something there. Oh, sorry. I'm giving away the answer. Sorry. I need to be quiet. All right, Doug, since I started blabbing, you can probably go ahead and put the poll up while we're watching this. So do you have handball on this? And I'm afraid Roger and Tambo and Amanda may have unfairly persuaded the group here. Okay, we'll keep going. Still got about 10 more seconds to get your vote in.
It actually looks like some of the questions we've been getting in the chat and on the Q&A. So we'll clarify some of those questions if people are wondering as we go through these clips.
Okay, good. So the correct answer is handball unnaturally bigger, 43% of you. I think the good news is we have about 80% of you getting that it is a handball. But once again, we want to be very specific why we have handball. So we'll cover deliberate touch and natural position. So let's look at this. And then also I'll come back to deliberate play self-teammate. Doug, let's go to the summary slide where it shows some still frames. Okay, so this is handball for unnaturally bigger. This is an unnatural position. And you see I took the screenshot here when the ball is being struck. So this is as the ball is leaving her foot. She is already jumping in like this. Okay, would we consider this a natural position for a defender to be taking in defense? And I'm seeing my panel shake their head no. So this is not a natural position, and she is making herself unnaturally bigger. So it's an unnatural position to jump with both arms and hands above the shoulders. And it's a little better answer than deliberate touch, as there is no secondary movement after the kick. So she's jumping in like that. She's not waiting, kicks made, and then she sticks her hand up. She's starting and ending like that. And that's why it would be unnaturally bigger in this situation. Somebody put natural position. I think we talked about that, why it wouldn't be natural position. And some put deliberate play self. So keep in mind, the deliberate play comes from the foot of the attacker, trying to make a play on the ball, not from herself or not from the teammates. It comes from the attacker's foot to the outstretched arms of the defender here.
So good. So just to go off of this, Corey, this does well to answer, I think, Scott's question in the Q&A, that if the ball comes off an opponent who is in close proximity and hits the arm, that's what we have here. And we are saying that this is a handball. This is a handball. This is handling. So
correct.
It's not that it can't happen if it comes off of an opponent.
Exactly. And I think one more clarification here for me, if we maybe play it one more time, Doug, to play the video through. In my opinion, the referee was correct to not give a yellow card in this. I don't see this as a clear shot. I see more the attacker trying to stick the foot up to try to just get a touch on it. Maybe we'll see it in a few of the replays. So I don't see this as a clear shot on goal and mandating a yellow card. I think the simple penalty kick and handball call would suffice on this, and we'll watch a couple of replays. I mean, she'll obviously take the goal. She gets the back heel that goes in, but I think she's more just trying to get a play on it there. So in my opinion, unless the panel disagrees, I would say penalty kick, no misconduct. And you kind of see there from the foot, she's already jumping up with her arms up. And that's when it hits. Questions? Do I need to take a pause before we go to the next clip?
No, I think we got some people asking questions about the yellow card. And I think what you said with regards to the considerations, it's appropriate to not give one. But I do also think you could use the considerations to justify if you do think it is a card because you do think it is a shot on goal. I think this is one of those gray areas possibly.
Absolutely. Yep. Roger, do you have something to add? Okay, good. All right, very good. All right, let's go to the next clip. So this is a pop quiz from Stimulus Week. So this was the most missed clip from Stimulus Week. And I know not everybody could attend, but we'll see how you all do revisiting this one. So Doug, let's go ahead and play this one. Okay, we'll have a couple replays of this. Not the most clear video, but let me know your opinion. Let's put the poll up. Oh, panel, I think we had some people definitely attend the Stimulus Week. Oh, we're going in the other direction now. And by the way, while we're tabulating the results, this was the most missed one of the handball presentation given back in March, April. So this is a very difficult clip. But I don't want to have too much debate on it, only because it would be revisiting what Rich Grady went through back in April or whenever it was. So yeah, this is a difficult one. The good news is we've doubled the amount of people who got it correct. I think only 20% of the people got it correct in April. So we're up to 44% saying no handball support arm, which is the correct answer on this one. So we have some saying deliberate touch and unnaturally bigger. So let's go to the summary slide here. So this is a no handball for the support arm. It's not like I said, not the most clear video, but this is about the point where it hits the attacker. The defender's arm is in a natural position by bracing for impact while falling to the ground. I think there's a good question before. Does the arm have to be on the ground? No, it doesn't have to be on the ground, but he is bracing for impact as he's fallen to the ground. And you even see right here, this is just after the ball hits the arm. The ball's at about what time would you relate this to the hour clock? It's looking like 6:30, 7 o'clock from this angle right here. Definitely a lot closer to 6:37 when it hits the arm than the other one where we saw 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. This is clearly not deliberate, nor is there any second action by the arm to act like a barrier to stop the ball. So you may see he comes down, and as he's coming to brace, he brings his arm down. So I think that fooled a couple people back when we had this in the stimulus week. But his purpose for sliding and for putting the arm where it is for support. Are there any other clues by Roger, Tambo, or Amanda where this may not be a handball expected by the players? And maybe, Doug, if we could play it, and then I'll invite the panel to talk maybe of some other clues we can look for as a referee. Anybody want to speak up about what the attacker's action is? Doug, let's maybe go one more time from the very beginning. Watch it in live play. Panel, any other clues you want to speak up on? There's one more point that Grady wanted me to emphasize here.
Well, so we're seeing a lot of people, not just us, but also in the chat, commenting on how the defender is just playing. They're not expecting it. He goes right after the ball. He doesn't turn to protest. He's trying to continue playing. So that's another signal that he doesn't expect it.
That's exactly what Mr. Grady from the NCAA wanted me to. Congratulations, Chase. You want to say hi to about 500 people? Say hi real quick.
Hi, Chase.
All right. You're not on. Yeah, bye, Chase. All right. He found his missing cleat, so he's all excited about that. Now he can go to practice. Oh, he's in the laundry. Okay. Sorry about that. No, but the folks who said in the chat are exactly correct. The instinct of the attacker is to get that ball, get another touch, and get it in the center. You see no protest from him about expecting the handball there. So I think Amanda summarized that quite correctly.
And we're also getting a few in the chat. Chuck Wade, for example, it is hitting his foot. Does it matter that it's hitting his foot first? Because we also do have this additional change that if it is a deliberate play by the defender and then it hits his hand, that further helps us justify this not being a penalty kick.
Yeah, for me, the main consideration would be the support arm is here, whether or not it deflects off another body part or not. It is the arm is going down there to be support and not to be a secondary movement or to make himself unnaturally bigger. Good. So this one I think had a lot of discussion. I want to kind of cap it if that's all right. And looking at, I think, what was that, clip 4 we're on right now? Yeah, clip 4. So we're getting about 40 to 60% getting these. So I think we're gonna start to hone it closer to the correct answer here, because we're all learning as we go through each clip. So let's see how we do with clip 5 here. And we'll get a replay. Okay, this is an interesting one. Doug, you want to put the poll up? Atlanta, I'm not ignoring you, by the way, Neverlands. I just know Doug has the headphones on and he can hear me, so I'm not sure you can hear me. But Doug and Lana, thank you for putting these polls up when requested. Oh, interesting. Yeah, CJ, we'll be more than happy to play it again. So just a heads up, Doug, I don't think, let me just cheat ahead here. Did we play it one more time? And by the way, Doug, I think I'm mistaken. So the yellow doesn't necessarily mean what the right answer is. I'm just now realizing that that's what the most popular answer is. So apologies about that. I was thinking it was that. So the number one answer was unnaturally bigger, but the correct answer here, Doug. Let's go to the summary slide. Is deliberate touch. Handball for the deliberate touch / secondary movement. So once again, think ahead. What was the position of her arms? Was the arm up in an unnatural position as the ball was kicked, or was it a secondary movement up there? So therefore, it's handball for the secondary touch or movement. Okay, or handball for deliberate touch. So therefore, that's the rationale versus unnecessarily bigger. While protecting the face, this is not an exception to the NCAA rules. As much as we'd love to say, hey, she's covering her face, it's an instinctive reaction. However, there is no exception granted for that in the NCAA rules. And of course, the referee correctly issued the additional sanction here, which is a yellow card for the shot on goal.
So Corey, just to comment also on the yellow card, because we got a question from Scott Dyer about this.
Yeah.
If it's a shot on goal and the handball occurs in the box like this, not dog. So is it a double jeopardy to award a PK and a yellow card? So for example, if the shot on goal occurred and the player who handled the ball was outside the box, no dog. So then it's a direct free kick and a yellow card. Why is it also a yellow card inside the box if the PK is awarded? So this gets into the idea of we don't want that double jeopardy when it's an attempt to play the ball is the key. So we don't want to be a PK and a red card for a player that is attempting to play the ball in a normal, fair soccer movement and just mistimes a tackle. But things that we don't consider to be fair in normal soccer plays, like pushing, pulling, holding, and handling, we still treat like we did before, because that's not fair within the game of football or within the game of soccer. Agree, Corey?
Yeah, well put. Well put. Yeah, this is a great replay that Doug is showing. So the ball is struck there, it's natural position. Then she brings the arms up, and you see it there. I think Amanda very correctly answered why it would be the difference between inside and outside the box. So the good news: 96% of you, 98% of you are recognizing handball. But when it comes to when we're fourth official, ARs, referees, etc., we want to explain it accurately per the NCAA rules. So in this case, it would be for the deliberate touch. The secondary movement goes up. Okay. And I see Jim Triplett's question about, hey, it's an instinctive reaction to protect her face and why a sanction. Unfortunately, the NCAA rules do not have a exception in there for protecting parts of the body. So therefore, we're only looking at the strict handball requirements and sticking by these. Therefore, it would be handball and yellow card. Okay.
Corey, going back to the people that are asking some of these questions with regards to her protecting herself, Philip Brady asked, can we consider that the defending player could have resolved the incoming ball with a header or leave it for the keeper? Are these considerations we should use?
As far as from a handball or from a yellow card standpoint? I'm a little confused.
From a handball standpoint. So this idea of the player is bringing up her arms to protect herself, so we're not calling it, is one of the ways we can resolve this of she didn't have to bring up her arms. Maybe she could have resolved it with a header. One of the things to me is, like you were saying, you could leave it for the keeper. If you have time to bring up your arms like this to keep the ball from hitting your head, you also have time to duck.
Yeah.
So you have those two different options, and that's why this idea of protecting yourself, duck.
Yep. Good. Tambo, Roger, anything to add?
So I'm looking at some of these questions, and some of the questions are very good, by the way. But I look at some of them and say, we go back to the presentation we had a couple of weeks ago where we're behind the eight ball. And some of the questions were behind the eight ball. In the one clip where the girl lifts her foot and the girl hits her, hands like this, and that is not dangerous play. So this is the modern game. So we need to look at it at the modern game, instead of looking at these situations of looking at what may have been called 15, 20 years ago. So.
Yep. Good point. Good point. Thank you, Tambo. All right, should we move to clip 6? Doug Land, apologize again. I was assuming orange was the correct answer, but now I'm just realizing it's the most popular. So apologies on that. All right, clip 6. All right, Doug, you can put the poll up, and that was a quick one, so maybe we can replay that while the poll is up for those that maybe didn't catch it the first time. All right, we had a few good looks. I really like, if you notice in some of these, the referee is making it very clear that he or she saw it and said no, or said, yes, I called it, the hand go up. So I really like the referees making it very public, even in many of them so far, saying, yeah, it's I saw it, but it's nothing, or, handball. And look at this. 83% said no handball, natural position. So let's see what the answer is on this. The answer is no handball, natural position. So very good. We're making some progress. 83%. I think that's our record so far through 6 clips. But you see right here, the arm is tucked very close to the body. I don't see this as being an unnatural position. Okay, maybe if it hits that other hand that's stretched out there, we have a different conversation. But for this hand, looks like a very natural position and tucked close to the body. Just go back to that visual of Kelly O'Hara in a similar pose with her arm very close to the body when we saw it still frame earlier. You could also argue the point of contact is the lower limit of the armpit. Keep in mind that as of a few years ago, we have that description there that the handball starts below the bottom of the armpit. So you can even make an argument here. But either way, I think the main consideration is no handball due to natural position. No HBNP. So any questions or comments here? I think everybody did pretty well on this one. We had some unnaturally bigger, so just keep in mind, I would not consider this unnaturally bigger, or maybe they thought it hit the other arm that was outstretched. All right, we'll go to clip 7 then.
And Corey, before we go to the poll on this, can we clarify why we're deciphering between deliberate versus deflection for handball? Like, can you clarify that? Brandon is asking this, what the difference is.
Oh, this is, yeah, sorry. Doug, maybe we'll pause that and come back to that. So why are we differentiating between what, Amanda? Sorry.
Deliberate versus deflection for handball in these polls?
Got it. So because the word deflection was actually taken out of the 2021-2022 IFAB considerations. So it's all about the deliberate play now. So that's why we're being very, very specific on our considerations to mirror that and what we expect the NCAA to come out with its guidance as well. So I don't know if that answered the question or not, but that's why we're aligning as closely as possible to what the NCAA will be wanting for the 21-22 season. Good. All right, let's take another look at clip 7. All right. I don't think we need to talk long about this one. Doug, if you want to put the poll up. Oh, I like where this is heading. Good. We'll give about 10 more seconds, Doug. This is still rifling through pretty quickly. A lot of people voting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's close it. Handball deliberate touch is number 1 at 72%, unnaturally bigger 16%, and we have 10% saying support arm. So let's go to the next slide, the summary slide. And I had handball deliberate touch. He does everything he can with both arms to get the ball, but I would also accept unnecessarily bigger due to the way he slides in. So in my opinion, either one is correct. I lean toward it's more deliberate touch. For me, it's a secondary movement. However, if you think it's a result of him sliding in, then I'm quite fine with unnecessarily bigger. So 88% got this one correct. We do have some saying support arm. Let's just replay it one more time, Doug, just to show this here. And watch the way he slides in. I don't see a support. And then watch his secondary movement once the ball moves. So he is sliding in with, maybe pause it just a little bit back, Doug. Right here, right there. Back one. Right there. That's how he's sliding in. Arms at 2 o'clock and 9 o'clock. All right, he's sliding in that way. He sees the ball change directions. Then he makes a secondary movement, not to brace himself, but the secondary movement is solely for the purpose to move his arm toward the ball and break up this promising attack. Now, there is a question. I don't know if I'm not keeping a close eye on chat and questions, but there is a consideration for dog shows. Let's go back to the summary slide here. So yellow card is definitely supported, but it is very close to dog show on this. From the NCAA standpoint, their preference would be yellow card, keep safe, because there is a chance you see this defender back here may make a play on it. Angles can deceive us a little bit, so it's hard to tell whether that player is 2 yards away or 5 yards away. From the NCAA standpoint, looking at this, it would be a yellow card for Spa. However, if you think this is obviously denying of an obvious goal scoring opportunity and that player has no chance to get the ball, then yes, it would be a red card for the denying goal scoring opportunity. So I don't know if anyone brought that up, Amanda, Roger, Tambo, but for this, the NCAA supported yellow card.
So several are asking that. Just to highlight, Corey, that other player is another attacker. Because you said that was a defender?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, sorry about that. Yes. Yeah, good. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah. So in that case, where I didn't even recognize that part. It's hard to say. It looks like I don't know if the panel agrees or disagrees, but that's for me, knowing that it would be red card. So sorry, I botched that one up.
I agree.
Yeah. And I don't think when I pre-lined this a few times, we didn't not this group, but a different group didn't catch that. So thank you for bringing that up. The folks in the chat, I didn't see specifically who, but given that is the last defender, I have red card on that. So thank you for clarifying that. Good. So not only do we have 88% saying no handball for the correct reasons, we also have some folks speaking up with a red card. So thank you on that and getting that correct as well. All right, let's go to clip number 8.
Hey, Corey, actually, can we go back to that one?
Okay.
With regards to the dog show side of this, several are saying, isn't the other attacker in the offside position?
True, but I would say, and I'll look for Roger and Tambo to correct me on this, he might be in an offside position. However, if that player gets by that player, I don't think he was meaning to pass it. I think he still has a clear shot on goal. If we were to pick that player up out of there, it's still an obvious goal scoring opportunity, in my opinion, even without the use of that offside player, if he is offside.
I agree with you on that, Corey. That player may be in an offside position, but I do agree that player, if it is not handled, probably going to shoot anyways. So
yeah.
There still is that obvious goal scoring opportunity because he will have the space to take that shot himself.
Yep, and I'm seeing thumbs up from Roger and Tambo as well. So they're agreeing with that as well. So thank you for that. Okay, let's go to clip 8. We'll get a couple replays on this. It's a little grainy, but I think I'll have a few good looks on this. And we'll get a zoom in. Okay, maybe with that still frame, I didn't realize it made a still frame there, but let's go ahead and put the poll up. Good, we'll give it about 15 more seconds. And let's go about 5 more seconds, Doug. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have unnaturally bigger at 48%, deliberate touch 40%. Let's go to the summary page. And I think this may be due to the video being a little grainy, but I had handball for deliberate touch and secondary movement. So you see the top part right as the ball is about to be struck. The defender is actually in a natural position, not making himself unnaturally bigger. It's only after the ball is struck that he brings his arm up, has a secondary movement, keyword secondary movement, which is one of the issues for deliberate touch. Ball is struck, then his arm goes up, and therefore it's the deliberate touch. So for me, this is deliberate touch, but maybe due to the grainy video, someone thought he was coming in with his hands up like that. The additional sanction would be a yellow card. It is a shot on goal, and it wouldn't be red card because the goalkeeper is there, and the shot may go over the goal. So it's not a clear denying obvious goal scoring opportunity with the hand. So therefore, yellow card is the expected call on this. So let's maybe watch it one more time to see the difference between deliberate touch and unnaturally bigger. Ball is crossed, natural position, and then it comes. It is super fast, so I think that's why some people thought it unnaturally bigger. So I'm gonna count both of those correct, given the grainy video. 88% of you deliberate touch unnaturally bigger. Keep in mind, an immediate goal is not scored, so it would not be handball due to immediate goal because the ball does not go in the net, so it can't be that option. And we would not consider this a natural position. Doug has paused it perfectly there. You see the player's arm is up at the point of contact, and he is clearly bringing it up. So yeah, 88% of you. I think with a better video, we would see this as deliberate touch, but that's a rationale for this. Questions before we go to clip 9?
So Corey, I would like to come back to some of the questions with regards to a player that is protecting their face. So
Okay.
if the arms are brought up to protect the face but are within the silhouette, so you could imagine maybe something like this, is that still going to be handball?
Let's go to our considerations. Is it a secondary movement?
What do we think? Is it, how about we type this in the chat, everyone? If I do this, is it a secondary movement?
So Amanda, you're saying the ball is kicked and then it comes up.
The ball is kicked and I come up like this within the silhouette to protect my face.
Okay.
Lots of people are agreeing with my knee-jerk reaction that it is a secondary movement.
Okay. Then let's propose another scenario. Let's go back to our considerations on this one as well. What if she or he has it there before the kick is taken? Now let's put in the chat. Before the kick is taken, the wall is all standing there like this.
We're getting
Correct.
some unnaturally bigger.
Exactly. Unnaturally bigger, and we have the specific considerations of the hands and arms, if we remember from the beginning, being above the shoulder. So therefore, this is unnaturally bigger, not a natural position. Like I said, there is no approved ruling that says we can give an exception because of protecting the face. So that would be considered a handball in both scenarios.
All right, great. And also, just because we do have a request for the list of considerations, Corey, is it fair that we will have that in additional training in writing?
Yes,
possibly
exactly.
in the preseason. So we're talking about them a lot. There will be something before the season starts with regards to the preseason guide, talking about some of these considerations.
Exactly.
For your reference.
Exactly. Roger, Paul, anything to add?
That would just be bad coaching if they're all doing this.
Very good. All right, let's go to clip 9. This is 2 looks. We'll have live play and then slow motion. Okay, we'll have a slow motion look. All right, let's put up the poll. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's leave this going a little longer, Doug. I like how this is progressing. Let's go about 10 more seconds. Let's wait till about 350 votes. Doug's giving you a replay for those that were delayed on their vote. So look at it one more time, and then we'll close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deliberate play, self with 72%. No handball, natural position at 17%. Let's go to the summary page. And this would be no handball due to DP self. Deliberate play. So you see the still frame that it's a deliberate play. He's trying to head it out. And in the process of heading it, it's a deliberate play from his own body into his arm. Just like we saw in the example, the player who had his arms raised and he hit it with his knee and it went into his arm on the still frame. Same thing here. Deliberate play with the head. It goes into his arm and the arm is in the natural position for the header. So for those 72% that got that right, very good. We had 17% say natural position, but no handball. So don't forget, it does take a deliberate play off his head. Therefore, it would be the deliberate play from that standpoint. We had about 5% say deliberate touch and unnaturally bigger, but for this, I did not see a secondary movement, so it would not be a deliberate touch. He doesn't head it and then bring his arm up. It's in a natural position as he's heading it, and I wouldn't call it unnaturally bigger here. I would consider this a natural position for a defender to be heading it out. And keep in mind, what trumps all that, it is a deliberate play. So let's just keep that in mind for what the main consideration is. It's a deliberate header that goes into the arm. Questions on this?
So something that Stephen is asking in the chat. So if the arm is above the shoulder and it is a deliberate play by the defender, we're still saying that deliberate play is negating that handball.
Exactly. Yep. Good clarification and good question.
And I just wanted to say one more clarification with regards to protecting yourself with regards to players. So if we're thinking about players in a wall, possibly protecting male players, specifically protecting their body prior to the kick being taken, there are some individuals that will coach their players to protect themselves from very uncomfortable shots to different private parts. That would be considered handball or no handball, Corey?
I have my opinion.
It's within the silhouette. It's there before he's. Let's think about it with regards to the considerations. If it's there before the kick is taken, is there a secondary motion? Let's type it in the chat, everyone.
Yes.
If prior to the kick, everyone stands. All the players are standing there protecting themselves. Is it a deliberate play? Sorry, is it a secondary movement? I mean, no. Is it unnaturally bigger? Seeing a lot of no's. So I think that is one where a lot of people are saying that I just saw the game doesn't want it. I'm willing to bet in a boys and a men's game that if players do that, none of the attackers are going to be calling for a handball if it does hit his hand in those situations. So I think in this situation, no handball would be a fair result.
Good. Tambo, Roger, anything to add?
I don't have anything to add, but I agree, man, 100%. So it's a very good point. But I do have a question where maybe I'm confused or everybody else needs clarification. So this new interpretation wording by by IFAB is obviously the latest that comes out. So are we to disregard everything that happened in previously, for instance, distance, velocity? I see questions about the silhouette. Are we still considering that, or this is what we're not considering that anymore? So all that is like out the door.
Yeah, I'd say this is brand new teaching. Of course, I'm forecasting what the NCAA may come out with, but if they stick to what IFAB, which is the initial direction we got 72 hours ago, then velocity and what you mentioned, Paul, would be out the window.
So I think that's important, for everyone on the panel, and I mean, not the panel, but everyone attending, and to spread the word that past interpretations by IFAB, are no longer. Don't bring those up. There is no silhouette. There is no velocity. There is no, close proximity. So please, let's do away with that language, and let's stick to what the language we have now that Corey and Amanda are bringing to us. And of course, we'll get more clarification as we go.
Yeah, and I think a clear example of that would be the teammate we saw in red earlier, who's standing there like this. Clearly, his arms are outside the silhouette, but he gets the ball blasted into him by his teammate. Clearly, by 3 years ago, that's a handball PK. Now, it is a deliberate play by a teammate, and therefore would not be a handball as specifically called out with the new language. So just to illustrate one of those words there. All right, should we look at clip 10? All right, I'm hoping to break a record here. Let's see. Let's play it, Doug. And I believe we'll get a close-up on this. The Notre Dame player seems very relieved there was no whistle. Let's find out why. Okay. And let's put up the poll to vote. Maybe if you want to play that last slow motion one, Doug, one more time in case people missed it. But we can put up the poll. I'll lead the witnesses a little bit. No, I won't say anything. I like how the results are coming in. Okay, let's go 5, 4, maybe after this replay. And let's close the poll. 70% say unnaturally bigger, 10% deliberate touch. We have about 20% saying no handball. So let's go to the summary page. This is handball unnaturally bigger. This is right as the ball is leaving the attacking player's head. It is, his arms are already up. We already said, what are the considerations? Above the shoulders. This is clearly not a natural playing position for a defender. And before he's even touched the ball, his arms are already up like this, clearly making himself unnaturally bigger. And once again, a better answer than deliberate touches. There was no secondary movement after the header. So I'm a little surprised. 13% said deliberate play self. So maybe they thought it clocked off his head. I'm not sure. But this is one where it clearly goes from the attacker directly to the defender's outstretched, unnaturally bigger arms. So it definitely wouldn't be deliberate play self. And natural position, I don't think we can argue natural position on this one, like 6% of you said. So yeah. So let's maybe watch it one more time. And maybe you can just do the slow-mo, Doug, at the very end. Yeah, I think you may already have it queued up there. Arm is already way up before he even heads it. And right in the hand right there.
Okay. Corey, we're getting some questions in the chat about this possibly being a yellow card.
Yeah, I'll give my opinion. I'll let Roger and Tambo. But for me, I don't have a yellow card here. This is an unnaturally bigger handball. It's not a shot on goal. I don't think it's stopping a promising attack because it's on a throw in. So while it's grossly unnaturally bigger, that's not a reason to give a yellow card here. Tambo, Roger.
Echo of the same thing. All key points.
Okay. Good. Any other
No, and
comments?
I agree too. We don't know where this ball is going. It's not like the shot on goal. It's nothing like that. It's just simple handball for unnaturally bigger.
Right. Well, I'm checking the time. We have about 8 minutes left. I have 3 more clips, and I'm going to preface these clips. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. I'm going to preface these clips. So we're not going to have a poll. We can put your opinion in the chat. But I want to come back to this and as a teaser for our final session and our final webinar, where we're thinking a little bit about referee 101 mentality. So, Doug, you can just play these in succession. It'll be a clip in normal speed, clip in slow speed. So let's start with clip 11. And we'll watch a replay. All right. And we'll do clip 12. Okay, and finally clip 13. And we'll watch one slow motion replay on this one. Or maybe this one didn't have a Doug. If not, we can just go to the next PowerPoint slide. So, review of clips 11 through 13. I saw some quotes in the chat, so let's go to these bullet points. We saw some answers in the chat. I saw no handball, play from self, deliver play from self. Let's go to the next one. But what was the common theme in these clips, and what's the difference between these clips and clips 1 through 10? Why did I isolate clips 11 through 13? Maybe if you could put that in the chat. Difference between clips 1 through 10. I'm seeing a lot here. Middle third, you have location on the field, players expect the call. Yep, I'm seeing a lot. I think you all are keyed into this. Let's go to the next one. So let's revisit what I said in the introduction and why so many people probably have, even us as referees, players, commentators, have a difficult time with this topic. Let's go back to my introductory slide. You see I have highlighted in blue. It's called differently on different parts of the field. We've seen a few examples of that already. And even in these, we can make arguments, deliver play to self. We can make arguments natural position on these last 3 clips. But now let's go to the next slide, Doug. So we saw the common theme there. And we'll go next. Clips 1 through 10, like you said, defensive third, most of the time in the box. Next. Clips 11 through 13, middle third or attacking half. There's definitely some attacking about to happen if they control that. So refereeing 101, we're going to talk about in the last webinar. Keep it simple in the attacking half. Lessen the risk. Both teams accept the call of handball. We didn't see any protests by either team because those were called. Next. NCAA supports the call of handball in these clips. Okay, we can look at the considerations and we go, okay, because of this or that. But however, we're talking about refereeing 101 and the risk to use. Next. And that's our theme here when we're looking at handballs in the attacking half to manage the risk. Next. And we'll have more to come on this topic in our 5th and final webinar. Tambo and Roger, I know you spoke a lot on the refereeing 101, but do you want to add anything in these just as kind of a teaser for our last webinar?
I'll go first, Tambo, and then you can chime in. The first thing that I pull away from tonight's presentation, an excellent presentation, Corey, is once again, you've heard me 1,000 times, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what a damn handball is. Well, tonight's presentation, once again, if you break down the considerations, point number 2, what Tambo said earlier, you must disassociate you basically what you've learned in the previous years in the previous IFAB and reference the consideration. To me, these considerations now, as we go into the 21, 22 with the new IFAB interpretation, is very clear. I can now, if I go through the process of the considerations, I feel very comfortable now that I can say, going forward now, what a handball is. And I think that's one of the biggest nugget that I took out of tonight's presentation. Tambo?
Yeah, Roger, I agree, and I applaud Corey and Amanda on their help for this presentation tonight. The only thing that I'm going to say from an assigner standpoint is that your job just got harder. Because look, we're sitting here and looking at the chats and looking at the questions and everything else. I mean, no disrespect, and I understand we're all over the place. We are all over the place with something that's new coming across our desk here. The players aren't going to understand it. The coaches aren't going to understand it because they never understood it before. And now that it's clear, they're really not going to understand it. So this is just going to be more difficult for all of you with the whistle and the flag. So I urge you to, and Corey will put that up there, the list of considerations. You need to study them. If it is a handball, I don't think it really matters if it's deliberate touch or unnatural, just as long as you get that call right. But this is going to be more difficult for you as referees. And look, I wish you the best of luck, but you need to study this going in and forget everything from the past that we talked about.
Amanda? Oh, sorry. Any final thoughts before we show the last slide? Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a lot of like what Tambo just said. Things have changed, so it's everything is always evolving, everything is always changing. So I'll turn it back to you, Corey, so you can put up that updated summary of the considerations that a lot of people are asking for right now.
Right. Very good. And for those aside, just put the survey link in the, I think I posted 3 or 4 times because we have a lot of comments coming through. So I'll copy and I'll hit the Control V one more time. So Doug, let's go to the final slide we have on here in the last 78 seconds that we have. So the survey link and poll is now out there. So that is thanks to Adriana on that. Next one, and we'll close this out. Recap for handball. Handball decisions several times a game. You're gonna be tested almost every game. I would almost guarantee much more than BB1, BB2, PKs, etc. Can we answer more than yes or no? That was the goal. One of the goals tonight. Why? Deliberate touch, unnaturally bigger, with the arms above, immediate goal. Or why not? Natural position, deliberate play from self or teammate or support arm. Differences, defensive third versus attacking half. It's about managed risk. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to save that last YouTube video for our last session. And finally, do your best to speak the language of handball, make handball sexy again. And we thank you all for attending and for the great questions, great discussion. Panel, applause to you. Y'all did a great job handling all the questions and comments. So thank you. As always, couldn't have done it without these three. We all support each other, and it's been a fun summer doing these together.
And thank you to Never End. And I'm also going to ask everyone, we appreciate the thanks, but just for purposes of people seeing the link, because we're getting a lot of those and Corey has posted it many times, please stop typing things in the chat so people can see the link. We do appreciate it, but we're trying to help you guys out right now. So there it is. Please stop typing. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.